We get back from lunch, and of course, Josh and Anna come into the courtroom holding hands. And because we have assigned seats, I am, once again, sitting directly behind the Duggar family. The prosecution calls their next witness, which is Marshall Kennedy. So these questions will be coming from the prosecution side, being asked to Marshall Kennedy. Where do you work? Homeland Security. Are you in a particular unit? The Forensic Analysis for Child Sex Crimes. Any other roles in Homeland Security? No, I was a student before I worked for Homeland Security. How did you get the job? There was a program for vets. From there, they take people like me. I did a year of internship, and if you're good, at the end of that, you'll be offered a job. What primary job responsibilities do you have? Computer, tablets, mobile phones, anything that can hold electronic info. He basically is saying that anything electronic, his responsibility is to forensically evaluate those items. How many cases have you worked on? 40 federal, plus more. How often do you do forensic evaluations? Every day. He explains all of his training that he's gone through, and there's tons. Did you also get trained in, and I did not catch that, all forensic tools? Yes, Albright is a mobile forensics tool. Walk the jury through a typical forensic evaluation. First, it goes through a chain of custody. Then we extract the hard drive, and we use a forensic imager. Judge Brooks says that he needs to slow down so that the court reporter can catch everything to type, and Lord was I thankful for that because he was talking fast and it was hard to keep up. Then make sure the disk is protected and can't be altered. It then makes an image and copy. Is it an exact copy? Yes. How can you prove that? It uses hash values to identify it. Once the image is complete, you get a hash value form and check to make sure that that hash value form is right. So a hard drive has its own hash value. Yes, sir. If you removed something, it would change that hash value and not match. That is correct. Where did you create this forensic image? In my office. He then goes on to explain that there's nothing that can happen to this evidence, but even if, God forbid, something did, they have an exact copy of the evidence. So if something were to happen, they have this backup copy that is exactly perfect and exactly identical that they can reference should, God forbid, something happen to the other copy that they are evaluating. Have you done this hundreds of times? Yes. The prosecution then asks that he be accepted as an expert witness. The court accepts this. Judge Brooks then explains to the jury what an expert witness is, and he tells them that they can give opinions since they are experts. Are you familiar with Josh Duggar and the investigation of Josh Duggar? Yes, I'm the forensic. What kind of devices did you evaluate? Phones, computers, SD cards? And then he asks if he recalls the HP computer. Did you create a forensic image of this HD computer? Yes, sir. How did you do so? He was told by Judge Brooks again to slow down so that we can all keep up. Then he says, basically did forensics and hash values matched it. Then he was asked about another exhibit, and it's the MacBook Pro. What did you do to the Mac? Same as the previous computer. Did you confirm the accuracy? Yes, it matched. Exhibit 20, and it's the iPhone. Do you recognize this? Yes, from my case. Did you examine this iPhone? Yes. How? I extracted, and he goes into way super tech stuff. Are these forensic tools reliable? Yes. Were you successful in getting a partial extraction? Yes. Then what did you do? I sent them to the DOJ and to the defense. You mean the Department of Justice? Yes, sir. Pass the witness, Your Honor. So this will now be the defense questioning Marshall Kennedy. You're a full-time Homeland Security employee. Yes. You never served as an expert witness outside of law enforcement. No. Your work in this case against Josh Duggar was only 2 years into your job. 2+ years, yes. Is it fair to say you have significant resources to get things right? Yes, sir. When investigation began, you weren't involved. Correct. You began when the search warrant was served and you were there. Correct. There to be a forensic expert? Yes, sir. There to seize the computer, etc., anything that means electronic data? Yes. So you mean anything with the ability to store? Yes, sir. In this instance, you had a team. Objection, scope. And Judge Brooks says exceeding scope and leading, so it's sustained. How many forensics were there for this search warrant? 4 total. Who? He lists the name of the 4 investigators, which we've already been over. Were each present to do the same function? Yes, sir. Prior to the search warrant, had you previously conducted similar roles in other cases? Yes. Did you know everything? Can you ask that question again? You testified you participated in seizing particular devices. I didn't seize everything. That's why there were 4 of us. You may not have been familiar with all evidence then, but you are now. Yes. There were 5 other devices that you looked at. He then asked him to look at the defense exhibits. Exhibit 3 through 7 is a SD card and thumb drives. Did you image these? Yes, sir. Did you provide them to the defense? Yes, sir. Now, Mr. Kennedy, in addition, back up. Let me back up. You testified to the process of creating forensic images. Correct. An exact image. Correct. This provides a way for us to review devices later on. Yes. Original evidence stays intact. Yes. This is important because even turning devices on can damage evidence. Correct. Did you analyze the Mac? Yes. Did you find any evidence of child pornography on the Mac? No, sir. Did you find any evidence of child pornography on his iPhone? No, sir. Did you look for images and video? Yes. Did you look for evidence of anything deleted? Yes. Based on your expertise, did you find any evidence of child pornography on the Mac or the iPhone? No, I did not. How long did you look? Weeks? Days? Did you look at computer and identify if it was the computer used for business? Yes. How did you know? It had business information and applications like Frasier on it. Did the HP have a partition? 2. Did Windows side have multiple partitions? No. On Windows side, did you find child pornography? No. Is there any evidence or trace of it? No. You testified it had a Linux. Yes. When was this Linux downloaded? May 11th. That's your testimony. I don't know without my report. Were you able to determine a thumb drive was plugged in? No. Did you look? Yes. Could you determine if any file was open when plugged in? No. You identified exhibits 6 through 7. It's a flash drive, a thumb drive, a storage device. Is it fair to say that it stores files but it does not create them? Yes. Is it fair to say that it does not create them but it does save them? Yes. What's an SD card? It's used to store pics, documents. Can a thumb drive be directly plugged into the HP? Yes. Does the HP itself create a computer forensics when it's plugged in? No. It's fair to say you understand forensics. Yes. Was there any evidence of child pornography on them? No. Did the Linux partition have a user's account? Yes. What was that user account? Dell_1. Is that what is sometimes referred to as a default username? No, sir. You're saying that's not a default. That is not a default. What do you think Dell references? I don't know. Could it mean a Dell computer? I don't know. It's whatever the creator intended it to be. Was there a Tor browser on the Mac? No. Did you look? Yes. Did you look for access to peer-to-peer sharing network files? Yes. What, if any, BitTorrent did you find on the Mac? QBitTorrent. Did you find evidence it was used? Yes. For what? To download movies. Hollywood movies. What, if any, BitTorrent did you find on the Linux side? BitTorrent. Is that a Windows program? It can be. There is a Windows side of the HP, and then there's the Linux partition side. Correct. The torrent was on the Linux partition side. Yes, sir. Did you find any other torrent? Only on the Linux partition side. Do you know what a transmission is? No. So safe to say you didn't look for it. Yes. Were you able to determine if it was connected to Wi-Fi? Do you know what universal plug-in is and plug-and-play is? No, sir. Can you tell when the Mac started using it? I don't remember. It wasn't relevant. Any reason to argue it was used in 2014? No. Was there evidence it was used on a daily basis? Nearly daily. On the Mac, how many image files were there? In total, like family and friends? Let's back up. Are you able to determine how many videos? Not off the top of my head. What is a torrent file? It is a file that comes from Tor. Does Tor file contain the image? If completed file, yes. Over the course of this investigation, did you find 5 with no viewable images? Yes, sir. Do you know names? Pedo mom, need to see my paperwork. And he approaches to refresh. Does that refresh your memory? Yes. Can you read? 14-year-old suck and fuck, pedo mom, play toy sweetie, and then I missed 4 and 5. Did you identify these as fragments with no viewable content? Yes. What does that mean? They weren't viewable at the time. Did you make conclusions on the relevant evidence of the device? He then states that XYZ phone didn't have any relevant evidence. Was the MacBook a personal computer? Yes. Is forensics about following all of the evidence? Yes, sir. All leads? Yes, sir. And where they go? Yes, sir. Defense Exhibit 29. And again, it's a picture of an iPhone. That iPhone is face down on a table, and it is in a digital black and white camo print, and it has a number 3 evidence marker by it. Do you know if any forensic analysis was ever done on this phone? No, sir. You testified some items were seized and taken back to your office. Yes, sir. Because you can do more in your office than you can in the field. Yes, sir. What's a manual triage? You manually evaluate the phone. Does that give you good information? Not everything, but close. Can you tell if any images were deleted in a manual triage? No. Defense Exhibit 25, and again it's the picture of the router on the windowsill. Is this a mobile device? Yes. Does it have to be plugged into the wall to work? Yes. Is that different from the MacBook? Yes, sir. Does Mac have to be plugged in? Not unless the battery is dead. On Exhibit 25, you identified the HP. What's next to it? A router. What is a router? It's a means to access internet. A physical box? Yes. Does a router contain electronic data? Very small, but yes. Did you ever analyze data in reference to Defense Exhibit 25? No. Why? To do that, you need, and he lists a bunch of forensic stuff, and even then, it's just a log file. What's a log file? A log device? Is a log file in a router auto-generated? Yes. Does a log file save history of when it's used? Not everyone. Do you know if any log files are on this? No, sir. What did you do to eliminate this router as evidence? I did nothing. How about this computer? No, sir. Pass the witness, Your Honor. Again, this will be the prosecution asking the witness questions. You were asked if anything of evidentiary value was on the iPhone or the Mac. Yes, sir. So all you're saying is that child pornography wasn't on them. Yes. Is it possible they viewed child pornography and you just didn't see it? Yes. Who did you say you sent it to at the DOJ? Fatrell. Who is he? And he goes on to explain who he is with the Department of Justice. What did you think he was going to do? Evaluate evidence. Would you say that he has a lot of experience? Yes, sir. They pass the witness. Back to defense asking the questions. The prosecution just asked if it's possible that there was child pornography on those devices that was missed. Yes. How? And he goes into this big, long, very technical explanation. Did you look for those? No. The witness is then dismissed. At 2:20, James Fatrell is sworn in, states his name for the record, and takes the witness seat. Since he is the prosecution's witness, the prosecution will be questioning him first. Where do you work? The Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. for the Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Division. Do you have a position? I am the director of HTIU. What is it that you do? We work with law enforcement partners to investigate, testify, and then he goes into a big long spiel. Basically, he works with the government to help them get the evidence they need to get indictments and prove their cases. What's most common? Child pornography, production of child pornography, human trafficking, cases of someone traveling to have sex with a minor. These are our main cases. How long have you been there? Since 2002. How many cases have you done? And he's done a ton. How many times have you testified in federal court? Also a ton of times. How many times have you been said to be an expert witness? Over 20 times. He then goes on to a very detailed and very long explanation of what it is he does. What do you typically examine? Computers, phones, CDs, thumb drives. Do you also train others? Yes. Since when? 2002 or 2003. How many electronic devices have you examined? Thousands. What kind of tools do you use? Well, there's general purpose tools and then there's forensic toolkits. Those are used worldwide to extract information and evidence on internet-based cases. Are you certified to use those tools? Yes. Sometimes you write reports. Yes. What do they contain? Our audience is prosecutors, so we provide evidence for them to use for their indictments. How many involve child pornography? All of them. How many cases deal with child pornography? Every day or at least 3 or 4 days a week. He then went on to explain new trends in this trash human wasting our oxygen supply realm of the world that includes people that think it's okay to sexually exploit minors. And he said that, previously the trend was kids between the age group of 8 to 12. But in recent times, the trend is moving towards much younger children being exploited, and the age range is now from 0 years old to 5 years of age and toddlers. They're just seeing a trend of moving towards a younger age group. So literally every single one of those people is wasting our oxygen supply, and I fully support the death penalty for these piece of shit humans. But anyways, are you familiar with terms used by offenders? I'd say I'm very familiar. This witness is then admitted as an expert witness. The judge explains what an expert witness is, and they can state their opinions and reason. Are you familiar with the case on Josh Duggar? I am. What role did you play? I examined the evidence, and he also goes in to say that he assisted in examining all of the forensic evidence that Mr. Kennedy had found and already gone through. In what form did you receive evidence from Kennedy? First, I got the HP, then months later, I got the Mac and the phone. What kind of tools did you use? Axum to find artifacts, and he lists through all this stuff. For the phones, I used Cellbrite and Axum, and it's a bunch of computer tech stuff. Are you familiar with virtualization software? Yes, it's somewhat new. Basically, you can visualize how a computer was when it was seized. Does this software change anything? No. Have you used it before? Yes. On this case? Yes. Oracle VirtualBox. Government's Exhibit 28. Do you recognize this exhibit? Yes. What is it? images from pics of the computer. They are a number of print screens that I saved while looking through the computer. And then he goes on to explain that it's going to be an exact replica of the computer, but the only thing that changes is when he is viewing this exact replica of the computer, the date and time matches the date and time that he is looking at it and not the date and time it was seized. So everything else is identical, but the only difference is that the date and time on his screenshots will reflect the date and time that he is looking at it and not the date and time of the actual evidence. You mean the date and time at the top of the desktop? Yes. Sometimes the resolution is different too. So all files are the same. Yes. Government Exhibit 28. And it's a screenshot of the Windows 10, and it says this date and time, and everything else is right except for the fact that it says the date and time. And just to be super anal retentive here, the exhibit on the screen says it's 2:34 on Thursday, April 1st. They then bring up another image of one of his screenshots, and it is clearly the screen you would see on a computer when you're trying to type in the password to get in. So you have the little circle picture, the name of the user, and the password. And he says that it is wholesale NWA, and that name was entered by the user when the computer was set up. This was password protected. Yes. The password was Joshua J. DD. They then enter into the computer, and it shows you the desktop, and the background picture is Josh and Anna and their kids. They then show the Covenant Eyes login that comes up. Basically, he's just looking through the computer and he's showing screenshots of what he was looking at. And we won't go through all of them because it was literally every single click of the computer. What was the username for Covenant Eyes? Joshua Duggar. And then they show you this Google Chrome platform, and then he brings up a list of programs that are installed onto the computer. One is from December 31st, 2019. This doesn't mean new, it just means that maybe the software was updated on December 31st, 2019. And then they go through some more pictures. The computer was used from 2014 to 2019. He shows you that there's a file explorer, there's a quick access file. He pulled up the email so that he could see what email was being used on this computer, and it was a Wholesale Motors Company email. He then pulls up a picture, and it is an email, and it shows that Josh Duggar is sending these emails on this account. They then show a download folder, and the file date was May 11th at 5:47 p.m., and it was for the Ubuntu program. What's Ubuntu? It's an operating system that's free. Another operating system. What does Ubuntu have to do with the Linux partition? They're interchangeable, probably 15 to 20 versions of the Linux. All provide the same functionality. What significance does the date have? It's the date of the download. You download, and under it is the Rufus software, which copies it to the USB. Rufus is a program you need to download this program? There's two ways, yes. You can download it, or you can use the thumb drive. Would you be able to install on a Windows even if it has Windows? Yes. He then gives a lot of forensic details, and there's no way we're going over all that. It is complex. They then display an image of the desktop folder and the docs in the date and order they are in. What did you find? Pics of cars, etc. They then pull up a picture of Josh Duggar's driver's license. What was Windows side used for? Business, car selling, software, pics of the cars. Did you find Linux partition as well? Yes, Government's Exhibit 30, and it's more screen prints from the Linux partition side of the computer. The next screenshot is the Ubuntu screen, and it's purple with white lettering. One partition boots from Windows and one boots from the Linux. It is impossible to boot both at the same time. It will automatically default to the Windows. To get on Ubuntu, he basically explains that to get on Ubuntu, you would have to turn the computer off, turn it on, and know to select the Ubuntu operating system instead of the Windows that's automatically going to start up on. So you're saying someone has to be present to get into the other operating system. Yes. How would this get installed? By a user. They then pull up another screen and it says Dell_1, and just so you know, it literally is Dell_1, not the number, it's actually spelled out. And that is the username. It is not a default name. It's something you'd have to type in. They then show the password screen. The password was Intel 1988, whereas the password for the Windows side of the computer is Joshua JDD. Once booted, Ubuntu taskbar on the left side, whereas with Windows, that's going to be on the bottom. And they show you a picture that has the examples of the screens, the difference between the Ubuntu operating system and the Windows operating system. Is this the default background? No, default is orange. That pic was placed there. And then I made a note that one is for Word, Help, Firefox, hidden one at the bottom that you can barely see, and that is an icon for a list of all apps. And I'm basically just making a side note to myself about what the applications are. With exception of Tor, the rest of the icons come on it. Tor had to be installed. Yes, uTorrent had to be installed. VLC is a media player. It had to be installed. What's a Tor browser? The Onion router. Onion is important. It's a layer. It's 3 layers of encryption. This is to be anonymous. You could be anywhere, but Tor browser makes it look like you could be anywhere else. For example, when you go to a website, they know your location. They then tailor ads to fit you, so you start to see those ads because they know your location. If you are using Tor, they do not know your location, so they can't do ads. The expert then mentions that Tor is substantially slower to use because of all of the layers. And since it is so much slower to use it, the benefit of Tor is mainly just to be anonymous. The second feature is a hidden service. You can have a website and no one can tell the true location of the server. Instead of .com, you will see .onion. There are index sites that provide Tor users with what to do to find their website. We then go into an afternoon recess at 3:05. We come back from a quick break and we pick up exactly where we left off. So this is going to be the prosecution asking questions to the witness. uTorrent program is a program used to fetch files. Yes. And then he explains that Homeland Security are generalist as far as experts, but that he was a specialized expert in the field of child pornography. Then they say that the transmission program is another version of the BitTorrent program. We then go back to looking at screenshots of him going through the computer for his forensic analysis. And one picture shows what things come installed and what things had to be installed. He then shows another exhibit, and this exhibit is a Homeland Security exhibit not connected to the network, so it can't be mistaken for downloads. Basically saying when they evaluate stuff, they are not plugged up to the internet, so there's no way anything could change. The next image, they say this section is for advertisements, and you can see there are no advertisements. And it is uTorrent version 3.5.5. They then show Government's Exhibit 2, and it is the torrential downpour log for the Marissa zip file. And you can see when looking at it that it says 1.5 torrent 3.5.5. So the 1.5, that is the undercover agent's computer, and the 3.5.5, that's Joshua Duggar's computer. The next screen shows that he has a candle on here, which is a search engine, and users bookmark this. The next screen is for VLS, which is a program, and then the next screen is the Onion router, and he explains that this is mostly for criminal activity. The next screen, it says there was a hidden wiki, which is for criminal activity. That is literally where you find someone murder for hire or child pornography or human trafficking. That is what the wiki website is used for. They pull up another screen and it's showing the browser bookmarks, and then another screen which is the file folders. Not all of these are files you'd see. Some are files with dot whatever instead of whatever the dot whatever is supposed to be. I don't really speak this language. But the dot whatever it is a hidden file. Then he dumbed it down for us and said that he made them show this way so that others wouldn't be able to see them if they were looking for them on his computer. Again, we are shown this file folders, but instead of seeing it in the image view, we are now looking at the file folder in the list view. And they show that May 13 reflects the date at 1:53 p.m. where this is downloaded. Someone would have had to be physically present to do this, boot the computer. In order to boot, you have to be present. Then I quit taking notes right here because they are just showing tons of files and going over it, and really it's just a very in-depth proof that they looked at everything on this computer, but it wasn't necessary for me to note. They then pull up a screen worth noting, and I said that there were 21 of these, 2 are locked and 2 are Word docs. And then they showed the VLC again, and that it was also showing 8 recently viewed files. And in case you don't know what VLC is, because, we're not computer people, or most of us probably aren't, it is an app that plays videos. That's my understanding. He then pulls up a Word doc for payment for a car sold by Josh Duggar, and that document was created on June 22nd, 2019. And it's funny because there's only 2 Word documents on this side of the computer, and they're made by Josh. You have thumbnails, large and normal. Yes, they contain sexually explicit content. A normal size folder, Government's Exhibit 31. And for the record, I'm giving you a heads up right now, we are about to talk about sexually explicit material involving a minor. If you do not want to hear this type of evidence, now is the time to stop listening. I repeat, I'm about to start discussing the evidence pertaining to child pornography. If you do not think you can handle listening to this, I recommend you stop listening to this podcast now and skip to the next episode. So they have Government's Exhibit 31, and it is child pornography. So the monitors are off to everyone except for the people in the jury box. There are 16 images per page. Exhibit 31 is admitted. These are tiles of these thumbnails. The thumbnails show the hashtag value, not the original name. This one has a minor girl 8 to 10, naked, with an adult penis next to her vagina. This one is a man performing oral on the minor girl on a bed with her dress up. There is one different girl, but the rest are all that one girl. And this is discussing the Marissa file. The Marissa series is a very popular traded set. It is well known with offenders. The jury then sees the pics. And let me just tell you right now that I have read every document and was prepared, but the jury was not, and my heart went out to every single one of them during this. So then they go into talking about EXIF. EXIF is extra info on a computer, and the computer creates it and stores it when a thumbnail is created. So let me just explain this in a dumber version. When you download something on the computer and you click it, the computer saves a little thumbnail image of it. So it would not have saved the thumbnail unless you clicked on the image to look at it. Exhibit 32. It's 2 pages of EXIF, EXIF, info for images just discussed. Government's Exhibit 32. It is 3 columns, and they have all the information of when this date was created. They then have 2 names and hashtag values and 1 location for the full-size image. The thumbnail proves that the image was clicked at 5:58 p.m. all from the Marissa folder. Government's Exhibit 33 is accepted. This is the large folder, and it means the person navigated to the different folder to view the image in a large scale. There were 4 images per page, 14 pages. The webcam collects a preview. Previews for the child pornography images and videos. Previews are very common in the offender community. They call it a storyboard, storyboarding. And storyboarding is a way to depict what is on the video without actually downloading it. Now, to break this down in a more simple version, storyboarding means they are taking snippets of different sections of the video and putting them in a sequence so that you pretty much know exactly what's going on in this video without actually watching the video. He then says the images are mostly child pornography. Some are pre-installed images. They then talk about the pedomom thumbnail, which means the file existed previously. Evidence referenced the file existed when it was downloaded. So, again, dumbing it down, the pedomom was not on the computer when they seized it, but the thumbnail was created, which proves that the file existed on the computer and that it was clicked. Pedomom file means sexually interested in minors. It is a long video, 30 minutes. There is an adult woman who is nude in the shower. There is a male penis in the video. The adults are having sex, and after that, the female calls the minor child to the bed, starts massaging her. I'm not going to get into the rest of it to spare your soul, but let's just say it's bad. They clearly are creating what is going to get someone arrested for child pornography, so just know that. The next one is 14-year-old girl suck and fuck, or fuck and suck. And in this, the girl takes the adult male's pants down to do oral, and the title gives away the rest of that. Then there is movie _02_16, and it's 2 girls on a green bed between the ages of 8 and 10. There's then another one with a girl on a bed having sex with an adult male. Then there are minors' genitalia up close. They publish evidence, and he tells them which thumbnail is which title. So he is explaining to the jury, this name goes with this thumbnail, aka image that you're looking at, and this one goes with that. So then Government's Exhibit 34, and it is EXIF, EXIF, info for contents in the large thumbnail file. I then noted at this point that there were 2 female jurors who were crying, and some female jurors and male jurors that looked like how you would expect them to look, and I noted that I felt horrible for the jury. Anyways, back to the discussions. On 6/22, there was a Word document for the car sale. They are now talking about trying to recover images in an unallocated space, and he said he found a lot in the unallocated space. Exhibit 35 is a 10-page exhibit for the child pornography in the unallocated space. How many match thumbnails? 10 pages. This means it was previously existing on the computer. Government's Exhibit 36, additional images in unallocated space. It's 14 pages, 16 images per page of the Marissa series. They determined that these came from the uTorrent and torrent browser. Government Exhibit 37, it is a Firefox bookmarks, and they do show this. Those bookmarks have times by them, 458, 540, 541. The Tor browser was installed within 20 minutes of the download. Exhibit 38. Recently used file that keeps up with the entries, and one date that I noted was May 14th, 2019, 5:05 p.m. The download was at 5:05 and 5:11. The contents were created. At this point, I noted that Josh looks over to the Duggar seating area, and it looks like he's trying to look at Anna, but Anna has her head down. Government's Exhibit 39. It's a torrent file, and it is in the small file that contains instructions needed to get the files. He then uses the analogy of baking a cake. He says all of these things are just ingredients you need to make a cake. So it has what it needs to get the contents. DD stands for Daisy Destruction. It is one of the most offensive I have seen in my career. Objection. Okay, so of course it got objected, and the reason why you didn't hear the normal banter that goes along with an objection like this is because that had been said by an agent on this case, and they already had all of these pretrial motions to have that excluded, and it was ruled on that that would not be mentioned in court, and then this witness said it, so when it was objected, everybody obviously knew that Judge Brooks was going to say, of course, and he did, and he tells the jury to disregard that. Also, you guys should mentally prepare yourself for the Daisy Destruction evidence, and I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm going to try to tell you enough that you understand just how bad it is, because I think it's very important that you understand just how bad it is, but I'm going to spare you in every way that I can. So Daisy Destruction is featuring an infant that is about 3 to 4 months old, and that infant is sexually assaulted and then hung by her limbs and burned. And he mentions the crying and screaming in the video, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Government's Exhibit 40 is another picture of a print screen, and it's showing the torrent download for the 14-year-old suck and fuck video, and it contains one video file that's 128, and it shows the hashtag value, and then it says it's 8.68 megabytes. You can still see a juror wiping her eyes. Exhibit 42 is internet records of the records being displayed in the window. So Exhibit 39, Exhibit 40. Government's Exhibit 43 and 44. 43 is contents of the file, and it's a configuration file that's been recently viewed. 44 is a summary of 43. And then it says 127.0.0.1. That means the video was played on the computer. The video exists on the computer. This is not streamed on the internet. They were playing these videos on the computer. Government's Exhibit 45, it's a thumb drive, and it contains a full-size video of some of the contents. Exhibit 45, 47, 53, 55, 57, 51. There are 7 videos on the thumb drive. Can we take a second? Defense wants to check the numbers. Again, they are discussing storyboards and how this is a common thing that they do, where you get still shots of the video without the video. And let me explain this, because I think it just make it easier for y'all. The evidence has been deleted off of his computer. So the videos have been deleted from his computer. But it shows you that they've been deleted, and every single image and every single video has a specific hash value. It's like our DNA. It's one and only. And so they have a catalog of these videos and images being traded by piece of shit human beings online. And so when they see that the Marissa file and the hash value for Marissa file has been downloaded, even if it's been deleted, they don't need the images. They know exactly what images were viewed, because the hash value matches the hash value on record. It's like finding, if we want to use the defense's stupid ass motion and prove how dumb they look, so let's do that. It's like finding blood at a crime scene and getting an exact DNA match from a suspect. So when they see these downloads, they don't have to actually still be on the computer to know what they were. If that image has a hash value and that hash value is in the system, They can tell you exactly what image and video he was looking at without actually still having the evidence of that on the computer. And I hope that made sense. He then again discusses that a storyboard is going to be pictures that are little snapshots of what the video would have. They admit the storyboards for the 7 videos and they print hard copies. 20 seconds in, it is pedo mom. It's 29 minutes. Then they say that another video that I can't pronounce the name of, Ase Mama Linda, I think, is 12 minutes, and it is a minor female engaged in oral sex with an adult male. And then there's the 14-year-old suck and fuck video. Then there is a pussy pounded and another one. And then there is Government 59, which is a spreadsheet listing the contents of the defendant's computer. They discuss those contents and say hardcore sexual activity, and the screen pulls up a list of these contents, which some are blacked out, and then we are done for the day. And clearly that was a lot to sit through in one hell of a day, so, was happy to leave. And again, I, having read everything and done my research, was semi-prepared to sit through that, but my heart went out to everyone that was not, and especially to the jury. It was obviously terrible, and I am sorry that you are now feeling repulsed and just not okay. Believe me, I understand. I sat there through it. So, yeah, I'm fully aware, but I, again, think it's important to cover things in their totality, and so I cut out details that were not necessary and, just going to cause y'all more mental anguish, but I wanted you guys to hear exactly how bad it was. I wanted you to grasp the severity of the situation here, and I think it was very important that you guys know that there is very young babies, children, toddlers in this content. So again, I'm sorry I just ruined your day. Again, I fully understand. I sat there. So I just wanted you guys to know what's really going on here. And that's why I felt like I had to give you that information. And again, why I gave it to you cut down. Anyways, I'm having flashbacks. You get what I'm trying to say. It was really fucked up, and I just thought you guys needed to know, so that's why I included it in the most respectful, less traumatic way I possibly could, with still giving you guys the information so that you know how traumatic and disgusting it is. So that's a wrap for day 2 of the Josh Duggar trial, and technically it's day 3, but it's day 2 of what's actually going on in the courtroom. So that's a wrap for day 2, and I will see you guys for day 3.